Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing what I ate for lunch every day this week, aka a week of vegan lunches. For Monday's lunch I made this mixed herb pesto pasta salad. I first added some boiling water and salt to a pan. I then took this lemon pasta. I ended up using around a cup of it and I added that into the pan and let it cook until it was al dente. Meanwhile, I made the pesto with the juice of half a lemon, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of pine nuts, 3 cloves of peeled garlic, 1/3 cup of fresh basil, 1/3 cup of fresh parsley, 1/3 cup of fresh dill and some salt and black pepper. I added those into the mini bowl of my Magimix food processor and I blended them up until smooth. I then drained off the pasta once it was cooked, added in half of the pesto. I stored the other half in an airtight container and placed it in the fridge. And I then stirred the pesto through the pasta. I then added in a bunch of fresh rocket and halved some cherry tomatoes, then added those in too and just turned it all through. I then plated that up with some fresh basil leaves and a few more pine nuts sprinkled over the top. This mixed herb pesto is so good. Obviously different to your standard basil pesto. It's a real mix of flavours and really quite summery, especially with the lemon pasta that I had, as well as with the tomatoes and the rocket. But you could have this with any pasta. I love having it with spaghetti too. On Tuesday for lunch I made this chickpea egg mayonnaise and cress sandwich. I started by adding half a can of rinsed drained chickpeas to a bowl. I then mashed those up using a potato masher. Then I added in 4 tablespoons of vegan mayonnaise, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion granules, 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, a pinch of cayenne pepper. I also added in a pinch of Coconut Merchant's organic turmeric powder. This is optional but it just adds some colour. And I seasoned it with salt and black pepper. I then mixed that through and next I added around 3 tablespoons of chopped fresh chives and stirred those in. I cut up a couple of slices of seeded crusty bread. Then I placed on a good layer of the chickpea egg mayo, then added some fresh cress on the top, pressed on the other slice of bread and then cut it in half. And I also had a side salad of rocket and some chopped cherry tomatoes with some balsamic vinegar drizzled on the top. Egg mayo used to be one of my favourite sandwich fillings before going vegan, and I know you can make this with tofu. That seems to be probably the most popular way of veganising it, but I'm not the biggest tofu fan, and so I thought I'd try it with mashed chickpeas instead. It does work really well. The texture is very similar, and if you use a good quality vegan mayonnaise, I've linked to 2 of my favourites in the description box below this video. It's really quite good, especially with some fresh cress and even some sliced tomatoes in there as well. Wednesday's lunch was this giant couscous tabbouleh. I started by heating 2 cups of vegetable stock in a pan. I then added in 1 cup of giant couscous and let that cook for around 8 minutes. Once done, I just set it aside to cool, and meanwhile I chopped up 1/3 cucumber, 2 salad tomatoes. I then picked a bunch of fresh parsley and mint and chopped those up as well. And once the couscous was cool, I added that to a large bowl along with the chopped cucumber, tomato, parsley and mint. I then added in 1 tablespoon of olive oil, the juice of half a lemon and seasoned with salt and black pepper. Mixed it all through really well before then plating it up. This is a pretty quick and easy lunch with so much flavour. It's really quite light and refreshing, and again, A great option for a summer's day. I think making it with giant couscous is probably my favourite way to make this, but you could make it with the traditional bulgur wheat, just regular couscous, or I often like making it with quinoa as well. For lunch on Thursday, I made this artichoke pesto salad toast. I first chopped up a stick of celery, 1 spring onion. I then cut up half an avocado into chunks. I placed the other half in an airtight stainless steel container and filled it with filtered water, which I find is the best way to keep it fresh until the next day, and then just stored that in the fridge. Then in a glass bowl, I added 1/3 of a cup of jarred artichoke. Then I added in the chopped celery, the chopped spring onion, the avocado, around a tablespoon of chopped dill, the remaining pesto from Monday's lunch. I tend to try and use this up within 3 to 4 days, and then seasoned with salt only and stirred it through well. I then sliced up 2 slices of crusty seeded bread and popped them in the toaster to toast. Once done, I spread on a good amount of hummus, then added on some fresh rocket, and then the artichoke pesto salad. I then crushed up a few pink peppercorns with a pestle and mortar. I love the flavour that these give, and so I just sprinkled those on top of the toast. This was so good. You could add some chopped sun-dried tomatoes and maybe even some olives into this too, and it would be great. Such a delicious toast topping, but it'd be great as a sandwich filling too. Again, it's just really light and nice for a summer lunch. So much flavour, and everything just works really well together. And then finally, Friday's lunch was this chopped leftovers salad. For this, I roughly chopped half an iceberg lettuce, a bunch of spinach, a bunch of rocket, around 1/3 of a cucumber that I had left, 1 salad tomato which was left over, a few sun-dried tomatoes, as well as some jarred artichoke, half a red onion that was left over from a dinner, and a beetroot. I added all of those into a large bowl along with the leftover half of an avocado from the day before, and also the half a can of chickpeas left over from Tuesday's lunch. And I mixed those together really well. I then made a quick dressing in my blender using half a cup of filtered water, half a cup of hemp seeds, the juice of half a lemon, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of Coconut Merchant's coconut honey alternative, 1 peeled garlic clove, and some salt and black pepper. I then blended that up until smooth, and I poured it into the salad bowl. I then gave that a really good mix together before then plating it up. This is one of my favourite ways to use up leftovers, especially salady things. I just roughly chop everything up and mix it all together, and it makes for a really good salad. Obviously you can add whatever you like and just make it your own. Beans, sweet corn, pickles, falafels, any veg, literally anything you like, and you could use whatever dressing as well. I love this as it's so quick and easy to make, and it's so creamy too. And that is everything that I had for lunch this past week. I really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, all of the recipes are written up in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!